RC Underground Radio is your go-to podcast for everything RC.
Everything about Kirby's is awesome.
Especially the owner. He's so hot.
I could never find anyone like him on Tinder. For the record, I'm not on Tinder, just so you know.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I was kind of getting worried there.
More of a grinder guy.
Each episode features top-notch guests, industry leaders, and you, the racer.
Do you guys realize how much it costs to be friends with this dude?
So, grab your transmitter, buckle up, and join us on RC Underground Radio.
Say words.
Here are your hosts, Dave Brinkman and TJ Greer.
Okay, everybody, we are back to RC Underground Radio. Kind of did a radio rewind last week. I was busy with the Foam Oval Nationals. TJ was out racing. But I'll tell you what, we're making up for it this week. We've got a great guest. TJ, who do we got this week?
Yeah, man, we got the man, the myth, the legend, Dustin Malicoat, Team GFRP, Quasi-Speed, 5.7 Designs. I can't do it like him, but we'll let him do it because that's what he's good at.
Awesome. Dustin, thanks for coming on the show, man. We appreciate it.
Hey, no problem.
Cool. So, yeah, I don't know how, if you get an opportunity ever to watch the show, but I would say at least, if not every other show, at least 15 times people bring up GFRP, and we have a GFRP conversation. And that's from Austin Wentworth in California to people here locally in the Midwest, all over the country, people we've talked to. It's like, oh, GFRP. And then we like, why GFRP? And we get into this whole conversation about just how great the cars are and how they're designed, and obviously how they perform. So how did you get started with this whole thing?
So do you want the long version or the short version?
Sure, we edit. So, just give us the long version.
So basically, like growing up, I raced micro sprints, drove some go-karts for some other people. Was in racing my whole life. And when I was a senior in high school, my brother was in college, and there was a track, Hobbytown, USA in Indianapolis, and they had a carpet oval track, and my brother bought a couple cars, and we went oval racing in the winter. And then fast forward a couple years, that shut down. I kind of quit racing RC cars just because the carpet oval was really the only thing that I was interested in at the time. I decided to sell the race car, and I kind of told my wife, I was like, hey, I'm going to get back into RC stuff. I'm going to take it pretty seriously. I don't want to hear you complain about how much money I spend. And she's like, well, what do you mean? It can't be that expensive, is it? And I'm like, well, it's expensive for what they are, but it's a drop in the bucket compared to what we've been spending with the big car.
Right.
She's like, yeah. Sounds great. So I actually bought an off-road buggy and went and ran 3 weeks of off-road racing. And then a guy that I knew who was friends with Mark Corns at Go Fast Raceway and Hobbies, he's like, hey, do you know that Mark has a dirt oval track in Lafayette? I'm like, no. He's like, yeah, they race tomorrow night. So this was a Tuesday night. I didn't even race. I found that out. I'm like, I'm going home. I'm going to the dirt oval track tomorrow. So that's what I did. And that was in 2004. And then I was a machinist. And so that was halfway through the year. I think that was summertime 2004. And then, so the winter of 2004, 2005, I kind of tinkered around. I got had a car, and then we just couldn't get parts for it. So I started making a couple parts, and then, a couple people were like, hey, I'd like some of those. I want some of those front arms. I'd get one of those nose plates if you make them. So it just kind of snowballed, honestly. So 2005, I started making cars, not cars, just a lot of parts. And a buddy of mine, Dusty Kemp, who does all of our design work, everything else, he was sitting at the end of the 2 spots down from me on the pit table, and he's like, man, give me some of those Go Fast parts. I need some Go Fast parts. And that's how the name came about. So it was Go Fast Race Parts. So he did that, and yeah, from there it just kind of snowballed. And then ended up hooking up with Hyperdrive, Berry Hill at Hyperdrive through Carpet Oval Racing. Actually, I was making a few odds and end parts, and then he kind of agreed to do a car kit with me, and we did our first car kit, I think, in 06. And then I think it was like 2019, 2020, I think, is about the time that I brought all the GFRP stuff, the whole line back in house. Barry did a great job for several years with this. He owns MSA Distributing, and he owns, Hyperdrive and Wolf and IRS and RJ Speed and just a ton of different companies, and is a big distributor. So like the GFRP stuff and the Hyperdrive Dirt Oval stuff, it wasn't a big enough market for him to put the effort into it that I wanted it to be. So whenever I brought it in, we pushed pretty hard and went from there. And, we've grown the business quite a bit since then. So it's just a lot of effort.
So when joining those brands together, what was your take on doing that? Did you think that, obviously, like with 5.7, how did 5.7 become part of GFRP? Because what I know of 5.7 back in the day was everything was conversion except for one car. So what was the purpose on that with 5.7? How did that tie into GFRP?
So the 5.7 just became a brand. I mean, honestly, it started with I wanted to kind of test the waters of, us actually doing it and selling direct to customers, and then having a dealer network out of our own versus going through a larger distributor. Like I said, Berry Hill was our distributor for everything. And so we just came up with 5.7 Designs. It's actually the guy I work with. He's the one that kind of came up with the name just because of my numbers, 57. And so he came up with the name there, and we're like, well, let's just make this car. The short course stuff was kind of taken off at that point. We were the first to put like a full car kit together. And that was kind of like the test bed. Okay, will this work? And then shortly after we did that, then we went ahead and started making some conversion cars. Honestly, just because they weren't hard to do. It was put some stuff together, cut some carbon, make a couple machine parts, and then put it together. And there's just like I think there's a cult following of conversion-based racers.
Oh yeah, there's a ton where we are. I mean, these guys are just like all about Associated. I mean, it's just like you say the word Associated and they are locked in, and then you say the word GFRP, they're like, it's not that they're hestant. It's just, they don't know it. They understand Associated shocks. They understand the front arms, so they understand the bulkhead, and then once they kind of get into it, they can be extremely competitive cars. You can compete with one, but just to have that leading edge, you're probably going to have to get into that next tier of a car to be that much more competitive.
Yeah, and that's the reality of the 5.7 line is we put effort into it, but nothing like the effort that we put into the GFRP stuff. I personally can't stand the way a conversion car drives. I can drive one, and I can run just as fast a lap times with it, but I just don't like the way it feels. I haven't driven it for years, and like I have with the GFRP stuff. So they have their place. Like I said, we still sell quite a few of the 5.7 stuff.
Guys like Brian Laurent, like that dude is a monster in a conversion car. Anywhere he goes, that dude he's a quiet assassin inside one of those cars. And and they're simple setups, you know what I mean? There's not a lot to it,
there's nothing to them.
Yeah, but I think that's what it is. That's his driving style. He knows the ins and outs of those shocks, and how to get them to perform the way they need to, where your average beginning into it racer probably doesn't.
Yeah. So to that point, guys, when we talk conversion cars, we do have a decent segment of people that are just learning about RC. So explain a little bit for them what a conversion car, what comes with a conversion kit, so to speak.
So like our conversion kit, we have two different lines of conversion kits that we do. We have like just a normal conversion, it's your carbon fiber, it's your like a kick up block because that's required, and then some standoffs. And then we sell what we call our jack kit, which is just add car kit. So basically, like it gives you everything you need to make a sprint car out of a buggy. So they all need an associated B6 point something. I think it's like a 0.1 or better or newer. And then there's one of the newest ones, I think, that you kind of run into some weird stuff with the front camber mount and how it hits some different things. So it's just kind of all in that range of B6 buggy. Yeah, you basically take the chassis, you throw it away, and then you just use the majority of the buggy, and you just get a conversion car out of it. You get a quote unquote purpose built car that's made from something else.
Right. And I think that's the key. That's the key right there. Is that it comes out as a purpose built RC car, which is awesome.
Yeah, I didn't get any of those. I went from, racing a Slash and, 14, 15 to they came out with the Prodigy, which was competitive, because when I was going to race, this guy's out here whooping me by 3-4 laps. I'm like, I don't stand a chance in this thing, so I went out and bought one. I was like, put it together and figured it out, ran it. And then there was a couple other guys that bought them, and then a couple more bought them. And then we had this growing, at the time was growing, but it was on the back end of on its way out in 2019, 20, where everything just kind of slowed down, so.
But you got to say it's pretty strong right now, right? Don't you feel, Dustin, that the RC hobby is kind of on an upswing?
Sectors of it are, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay, that's fair.
And Dirt Oval is one of them that is. I don't necessarily know that it's on an upswing because it's been at this level for quite a few years, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's 5-6 years strong at this level.
COVID didn't slow it down.
No, COVID didn't slow it down at all. It's
COVID helped it.
I don't really know. Yeah, it really did. I'm not sure. I don't know. It's kind of weird because I think certain sectors of RC are falling off a little bit, but I don't think a lot of the people are going away from RC. They're going just from, there's more off-road racers that are now racing oval than there's ever been.
Yeah.
I feel, besides like, the 80s or 90s or early 90s,
right.
You know what I mean? Back whenever it was kind of took off initially. But yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to say, but I'd say RC as a whole right now it's in a good spot, and I think a lot of that is just there's not been huge innovation, so to speak, in the last 10 years. It's we have cars that are pretty much the same as what they've been. Now they look different and they function different some. But for the most part, they're pretty similar to what they've been. The tracks have changed, but I actually think that, as much as I hate to say it, I think the tracks are probably better for the average racer now than what they were 10 years ago, just with having more grip. Mm-hmm. I'm not a huge fan of it myself, just from a personal racer standpoint, but from a business owner standpoint, I probably like it more.
Yeah. So when you say they have more grip, is that because of saucing or just the way the tracks are prepared? What causes that?
Honestly, I think the track owners realized that they could do far less work and have a more consistent racing surface. Okay. I mean, you see it in off-road, same thing. Mm-hmm. It's if we pack it in tight and then, keep enough moisture in it that it doesn't just cheese grade the tires off, then you're good. So
keeps the show moving.
Yeah.
That's what I had a message this weekend after we posted about, it'd be earlier this week of posting about last weekend's race.
Yep.
And excuse me, a track owner got a hold of me and said, what did they do different to the track that makes it gripped up, not lose tires, and run the show on? I was like, well, they kept moisture in it, so they just kept a light mist of moisture. They didn't have to roll it in. They didn't drag the top. They didn't completely change what it was to what it got to. I mean, it was literally, the track was there. I went out there and 3 practices with no sauce on my tires, dry tires, went out there and ran just to see. And they worked, but it got better when you sauced and you started prepping and you worked your way into what tire was going to work, and then it was game on from there, So, but I told him, I was like, moisture in the track, it's nice, not having to bring a tractor out and take 45 minutes to an hour to do a rebuild or letting it get super loomy. Like, I don't have a problem with loose dirt. I'll race it. I'll never complain about going to a track and racing. But when you want to run a quick program, pack it in, very little tire wear. Using the right dirt matters too.
That dirt's at Raw is just insane. I was mind blown when we set our stuff down. The first practice session was like, oh, we have this much grip everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, top to bottom, it's the same. So, like, if you want to rip the lip and you want to be the guy that goes up top, go for it. You want to bottom feed and play it safe and stay out of trouble, go for it. There's like 3 to 4 different lines you could run, and maybe a tenth or 2 maybe difference if depending on how comfortable you can get with it and hold your line. But I mean, the track is, and it's new. I mean, it's not even a year and a half old.
Yeah, it was very impressive.
Is it a mixture? Is it clay dirt mixture, or just what makes it do that other than keeping water in the track?
I have no idea what dirt they have. It has to have some clay in it, just because.
That's what I think.
Just because it was cracked quite a bit.
Yeah.
And that, which tells me that most of the time whenever tracks look like that, they have clay in them.
It's not sealed either.
That's just it. It was, like I said, it was unique. It was.
They tarp the whole thing.
Yeah.
A lot of outdoor tracks cannot afford or do not do that.
Yeah. We have Attitude up here. They do that, which is cool.
But
that helps keep
the dirt was
the
money.
Moisture too. Keep some of the moisture underneath that.
It's a track that as the day goes on, and even at night, when the dew starts to set in, when that dew sets in, it's bung. Lights out. It's like the perfect amount of like moisture on the track to where, I mean, you probably get a tenth faster, maybe, which is, I mean, on a track like that's still a lot.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about the actual track, because I know people are going to be listening and be like, okay, what track are they actually talking about, and where is it located? Because I think I want to go do that.
It's Raw RC, which is in Elwood, Indiana. That was the first time I'd ever been there. It's a great track. I've been there one time, and like you said, it's a newer place. And it's like an hour and 15 minutes for me. So that's why it's like, that's by far the closest track I have, without going, like I have Go Fast Raceway that I can go race, but it's foam tires, and it's just foam tires is not where it's at right now. So, the rubber tire track, that's the closest for me. I know we have a couple other tracks here in Indiana that are very good tracks, and they're probably pissed because I'm, posting and talking about this Raw RC track, but it's like, guys, it's an hour and 15 minutes from my house. Everybody else is 2.5 hours. So
22 minutes for me.
Yeah.
And I told these guys last year when I went there, I was like, look, give it some time. Don't quit. Like they're getting, 60 entries on, on a plaque race, whatever, just give it time, keep building your repertoire, keep bringing these guys in, keep doing what you guys are doing. Cause they made a ton of mistakes, but they're quick to learn. They almost made a mistake last week, and we were like, hey, you can't change that. You can't, you're going to lock people into TQ positions. These guys don't have a shot, or this one this next run, it doesn't matter because it's a short amount of time, time versus laps with it. So, but they're learning. They're willing to listen to the racers. They take good feedback, good food, good dirt, and they're racers who they get it. They're not trying to make the world, more round than it already is. They're just trying to make the environment better.
Well, I think you hit on the key too. If you have good dirt and you have good food, all on the same property, really, that's all you need.
And like you said, they were very willing to like listen to advice. Like I noticed that they had a weird scoring thing going on in the first round. And I wasn't sure what it was. So I went in and caught like the end of a race. It was like, hey, I don't know what you got going on here, but like I've never seen this in the 20 years that I've raced RC cars. So we figured out what he was doing. He was actually ending the race early manually. So then once we figured that out, I was like, okay, now let's change a few other settings. So I called Jamie Tennis at Trackside, and he walked me through some of the settings to make sure that all the settings were set up correctly. And, you know, and they got it and everything ran smooth. It's, you know, it just ran, everything ran. I looked at Jones after I ran my second battery pack through, and I said, if they run a half-assed decent show, this place is unreal.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, oh, God, yeah, because this track is money. Because just the size of the track, the shape of the track, the banking in the track, the fact that you could run multiple grooves. I was very, very impressed.
And here's the biggest thing for me. Obviously, and people may not know it, but if you do, my favorite class is SE Mod. It always will be. It's got a special. Yeah, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. Listen,
Make SE Mod great again.
Hey,
right?
we're making SE Mod great again. Okay. So yeah, hey, give it a thumbs up. You'll get some sales here and there.
Hey, I'm fine with it.
Exactly. So with that, on an SE Mod, you know, let's say if we were to put them on, let's say Go Fast. I've never been there. They don't run them, which is fine. Corns runs a great program.
Small.
It's way too small.
Yeah,
but you wouldn't be able to get 6 on there. Okay, we ran 8 in a main. We talked about it. We thought 8 might have been too much. Just the back end of the pack was too antsy to get to the front. It is what it is. But I could run an SE Mod in 3 or 4 different lines on both corners and stay out of trouble. So then you think, I'm going to do that to a sprint or late model with a 110 car. You know, most times you've only got a foot and a half in a groove, and if you're out of it, you're off pace already. You know, with that track, it was nice because you can get out of the groove, you can go around somebody on the outside, you can give space and get right back in it, and it still had grip all over. It rubbered up, but it wasn't black like it was middle of summer. You know, that's way different when it gets hot, but I mean, it's a good track, and I think they're doing good things. They're doing all the right things that they should be from a racer's perspective to keep people coming. So we just got to get them there. That's all.
Well, you said the key point. They're listening, right? They understand. Hey, okay, maybe we got the track straight. We just got to kind of tire show in. And trust me, hey, it happens to all of us. I've been doing this stuff since the 70s, right? And I just ran the Foam Oval Nationals, have 50 people on the thing, and I'm like, Murph, come here. Murph, I got an issue. He helped me through some scoring stuff. I'm just noticing it just wasn't quite running right. So,
and then they come by and ask, how's the tire wear? You know, one set of tires, I can go through one set through a day, like, and go for a podium. I'm good with it. You know what I mean? I can get multiple days out of it, but I purposely ran crap tires to test some things, and it worked.
So
I ran like 4 different sets of tires. But ultimately, like, I could have showed up with one set of my low tread tires and ran the whole day with no issues, and probably could run them, multiple race days there. So, I was just trying different tires just to see what all would work.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the day, boys. How'd it go for you, Dustin?
How did it go?
It's cold.
It was cold in the morning. So I didn't even open the trailer up. So like I got there, I had full intentions of opening the trailer up, and I'm like, no, let's put a tent up and put the barrier on the end of it and have warmth that way. It was cold in the morning. It warmed up whenever the sun came out, and the wind was supposed to die down, but I don't think it ever did. But yeah, qualifying, I think Jones, he squeaked out just a hair quicker than me in sprint.
Mm-hmm.
And then my late model, it was pretty good. So
I was like 5/10 off Dustin and I was on 3 sets of different tires, and then there's nothing I could do. Like all you can do is just give them space, let them go, just let them go, and
Right.
try a different set. It didn't work for me with that car, and I only ran 2 classes because that's all I wanted to run.
Mm-hmm.
But
I figured Dustin was being humble. I mean, he won. You won, right?
Yeah. I won late model, and the sprint car race didn't go quite as planned. I think I had the fastest car, but I clipped somebody was coming out of the infield, or I don't remember exactly what happened. All I know is my stuff went flipping down the straightaway really high at one point and then landed on the left rear and broke the rear axle. So
it was like 3 times in the air, like slow-mo, like Ricky Bobby stuff, like and then it lands and it's like that's done.
Yep. But I don't know. I think had I had a clean race, I probably could have won that one too, but could have, would have, should have. I didn't.
Right.
I was at the trailer getting my late model test car ready to run after the races.
All right, how about you, TJ? How'd your day go?
P2 and late model behind Dustin. Like I said, I just put the wrong tires on in the main, so I was somewhere out in right field with it. So I just gave everybody space. There's no point in trying to hold anybody up. I gave as much space as I could. SE Mod was money right out the gate. Like I put on an old set of tires just to see if they would hold from Chili Bowl 2 years ago. And they worked, and I was like, well, I got plenty of sets of these, so we're going to let it sit. I'm not going to practice this anymore. And I think I ended up turning the fastest lap of the day. And then until those 3 figured out what tires they were going to do and prep, so then they come, which was impressive because for an SC mod to do it, usually you're like 2 to 3 tenths off pace of what a sprint or late model is on average on any track. So I was like, man, we're onto something with this one. And then just I messed up and I changed gearing. I probably shouldn't have for the second heat. So like I didn't even finish like the last 3 laps. I was ahead by a large margin, and the car just shut down. And I was like, that's weird. This car never shuts down. And I go over there and temp the motor, and it's like 170 degrees after letting it sit for a minute or two. So I went back to some old gearing that I used to run on like 2020 Prodigy, like just a simple 8719 everywhere I'd go. I put that in, and it was money. The car was a little bit slower, but the gearing I was running wasn't. I was doing some testing for that and testing for this weekend and realized what I was doing because the crater's bigger than raw. It for sure is, but I was just trying to do some like grip testing to see what was going to hold, and that gearing did not work. So went back to an old gearing mesh that I used to use years ago, and it was perfect. So
Nice.
It was a good run.
Good. So we talk about this Michigan Indiana deal. Dustin, you out there for that, or you part of Team Indiana? No, not this week.
No. So Saturday's prom for my youngest daughter, and then Sunday I'm going over to Ohio to basically bring all the stuff home from my daughter that's in college, and then she comes home later next week after finals. So with BB Mods changing their schedule and they're going to race tomorrow night, I'm going to go there and run, and then come home, do dad stuff all weekend. So
I completely respect that. I mean, racing's fun, but family first every time. Every time. Cool. So you come out with the. Let's go down. Can you go down the list of the different?
Oh gosh,
not all of them, but just I know you got the Prodigy. We hear
I
about
might
that
have to
one.
pull up my website.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, we have the Prodigy, which is our short course modified. We also do a GF6 under the 5.7 brand. That's a conversion for SC6 or whatever they call it. Their short course, associated short course. And then like for foam tire stuff, we actually do our Havoc and then our GFR1, which is basically our foam tire cars. You can get those in either gearbox version or direct drive version. And then for rubber tire cars, we have the Assault HB Hustler. So that's Assault's kind of our standard lower grip to medium grip car. Your Assault HB is like your high bite car, but not extreme high bite car. And then you have the Hustler, which is like the extreme high bite. car.
Are those cars, again, just being a newbie, are they more predominantly focused on open wheel, or are they more late model? What would you run each one for?
Is your ride as exciting as a soggy sandwich?
Does your wardrobe scream,
I'm not trying?
turn heads with Carpies, the place for custom wraps, apparel, and all things awesome. Want to look cooler than your neighbor? Want a wrap that makes your car the talk of the town? Want apparel that screams,
I'm not basic?
Carpies has you covered. Carpies, custom wraps, apparel, and more.
Because who wants to be boring?
Visit Carpies. Wrap your world. Wear your swag. Visit carpies.com today. Introducing Papa Willie's Traction Tonic, the ultimate solution to boost your grip and speed on dirt, carpet, or pavement. Papa Willie's gives you the traction you need to leave the competition in the dust. Just apply and watch your car stick to the ground like never before. No more spinning out, just pure relentless traction. Get Papa Willie's Traction Tonic and put the pedal to the metal. Available online. Visit papawillies.com today. Papa Willie's, where traction meets action.
Yeah, so the Assault and the Hustler they're all sprint cars. And then we have the Assailant, and then we have a Mistress that is our late model Midwest mod Eastern Dirt modified cars.
Okay.
And the difference between those two, same thing. Your Assailant is your general car, and then your Mistress is your high bike car.
Okay.
So yeah, before, whenever all the tracks were loose and loamy, we never had to have the high bite versions, but now with so much racing being high bite, we just felt like it was better to have the different cars for different track surfaces versus trying to make something that works on everything and sacrificing on both sides. We just kind of made something that works more specific. Yeah,
absolutely. And again, like me, I'm newbie to dirt. I've raced 3 times, two times when DJ was there, and then I raced one time. Well, actually, I'll be 4 times. This will be my 4th one tomorrow night. So many times I've been on dirt. So yeah, I mean, and of course I'm the same. I hear GFRP, and honestly, I think of that as like a top of the line chassis, and I know I haven't been there, right? I'm not worthy, to run at that level, but I'm getting the confidence now, and I'm like, all right, maybe I want to start looking that way. So the Mistress, because it's mostly high bite, high bite late model. Let's say that I would run. So I would want to be looking at that Mistress car.
Yeah.
All right. And why? What again, for the newbie, what separates it? Why is it such a good focused late model car?
So like that versus like our Assailant. The Assailant still has our nose plate, which is aluminum nose plate that bolts to the front of the chassis. So the carbon's much shorter. The front end of the car flexes a little bit more, but there's a lot more ground clearance. To where with like the Mistress, it's our flat carbon all the way out to the front. So if you have a track that you need a lot of weight transfer and you got to have a lot of chassis movement, you're just going to dig the front end of the car into the ground quite easily in comparison. The front end's stiffer, so it reacts better to the higher grip. It has more offset in the chassis available. The rear mounting positions for like the rear arms, inner arms is wider to keep the car a little bit more flat. It's just a lot. It's pretty much everything on it. It's just geared to higher grip and higher roll center and lower center of gravity, more left side weight, just all of those things that you need whenever you're on higher grip.
Well, TJ, this is crazy. Like we're having a great conversation with Dustin. This is a 2-part episode, so we're gonna cut it here as episode 1. But what an amazing conversation, huh?
Oh yeah, I'm just thankful for one we got him on. It's been in the works for like a year, but the good news is he took some time out, which I appreciate. So thank you for that. And then also just telling the story. There's a lot of good information about GFRP 5.7 quasi. prior to, before, where they are now. So a lot of good information. It's been awesome.
Yeah, for sure. The second half, we're really going to get to know Dustin, the man, the person. Anybody's perception, if your perception doesn't change after you listen to episode 2, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. He's just a good dude. So tune in again next week for part 2 of our conversation with Dustin. I'm talking GFRP.
Thank you for listening to the RC Underground Radio Podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and tell your fellow racers about the show. Tune in again next week for more RC content.